The Legend of Zelda is one of the most beloved franchises in the history of video games, and with the new Tears of the Kingdom coming out in just a few months, I thought, what better way to kick off 2023 than to show you and talk to you about my top 10 personal favorite Zelda games of all time. Please don't kill me in the comments. I love Zelda as a whole. The franchise is near and dear to my heart, and I'm excited to get to talk with you guys about this beloved franchise. So if you enjoy the video, please consider subscribing. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers here on the channel so that we can get partnered and monetized here. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's jump in to the video. And coming in at number 10, first on our list, we have Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Now this game gets a lot of hate. It's very different from the original Legend of Zelda game, but it's a lot of fun still. I can respect what they tried to do here, and if you're into games like Final Fantasy or any type of JRPG and side-scrollers, you might give this one a chance. It's extremely hard, but it's definitely worth checking out if you are a Zelda fan. It's not one of my favorite games, but I don't hate it. It's definitely become more of a cult classic, and it's very different than what you're used to if you take a look at some of this gameplay. You can definitely see that the side-scrolling aspect is, what you're kind of used to on like an NES console, like a side-scrolling kind of platformer, beat-em-ups kind of thing, mixed with like traversing the world like a Final Fantasy type of game and then running into enemies. There's a lot of RPG elements to this game where you can upgrade your stats or skills or things like that, get different items. It's a lot of fun, definitely worth checking out, but again, super hard. So The Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link is a little different than what most of us Zelda fans are used to. I kind of respect what Nintendo was going for here. It's kind of like a Final Fantasy adventure game mixed with Zelda, but not a lot of people like this game. It's definitely kind of like fallen into obscurity, like that cult classic that, there are some people that absolutely love it, but a lot of people don't. But I think it is a fun game. It is extremely hard, but it's definitely worth at least checking out. And coming in at number 9, and I might get a lot of hate for this, we have The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, where do I start with this one? So this game, for me personally, is just a bunch of mixed emotions. I wanted to love this game more than I didn't, but I know I'll get a lot of hate for that. But to be honest with you, yeah, I'm going to give it an IGN review. Too much water. I hated traveling on the water. I hated traversing it. It was absolutely tedious and annoying. And unfortunately, I didn't look up any guides or anything, and I didn't know about the super sale that existed in Wind Waker HD. So I literally played the whole game where you're traveling on the water and you had to stop and play the music and then change directions and then stop and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. The combat was great. It was very fluid. The art style was beautiful. I actually really enjoyed it. The game itself looked incredible. The Ganon fight at the very end was awesome. But it's just not really for me. I beat the whole game. Probably will never play it again. But, sorry. And coming in at number 8, we have The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is a really fun game. A lot of people complain about the motion controls, but overall, I think it's really fun. I like the art style, I like the story, it's unique. It's a lot of fun, definitely worth checking out. If you can't get it on the Wii, Nintendo just released the HD remaster of the game. Definitely take a look and check it out. Worth your time, trust me. And coming in at number 7, we have The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds is absolutely amazing. It is the sequel to A Link to the Past. If you like 2D Zelda games, this one's amazing. I'm not huge on handheld gaming, but if you like Link to the Past, this is one that is definitely worth checking out. Trust me. And coming in at number 6, we have the original Legend of Zelda. You definitely have to pay respect for what The Legend of Zelda did for the gaming industry. When Shigeru Miyamoto came up with the concept, it just absolutely blew people away. This game changed how we look at gaming today and how action-adventure games are made. There was nothing like this on the market at the time, not to this level, and the fact that there were save states was absolutely mind-blowing. The lore, the characters, the questing, the items, for something that came out in the mid-80s, it's absolutely incredible. Definitely worth recognizing as one of the greatest games of all time. The game that started it all, the original Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo Entertainment System, the game that revolutionized adventure games as we know them today. This is one of the best examples of how a single game can pave the way for a genre, for just the course of history. It is absolutely an amazing, breathtaking game for the time period, and I have to pay respect to this amazing title. It is just mind-blowing what they were able to achieve with having save states, the open world feel. I mean, you got to remember, this came out in the 80s. Absolutely a must-play. Try this game out. You'll love it. And coming in at number 5, we have The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Now, a lot of people might give me crap for having this one so high up on the list. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Ocarina of Time. It's one of the greatest video games ever, in my opinion. It is so much fun, and if this list was based on soundtrack alone, this thing would get number one because the soundtrack is absolutely a masterpiece. It's probably one of the best gaming soundtracks in general in the history of video games. We all know the Ocarina of Time soundtrack, but the kind of open world feeling, the questing, the combat, everything was just so much fun. The adventure itself, the story, it was just so captivating at the time, and the 3D graphics were so revolutionary for its time that this game will probably go down in history as one of the greatest titles ever created. But in my personal opinion, there are just better Zelda games out there, and we're going to get to those. And coming in at number 4, we have The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. I loved Twilight Princess. Now, whether you've played it on the GameCube or the Wii or the HD remaster on the Wii U, which I've played all three, it's absolutely amazing. It's definitely a nice change of pace. The art style is beautiful. It's super dark and eerie, kind of like Majora's Mask. So definitely check this one out. It's worth playing for sure. And coming in at number 3, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. So this game actually is the very first Zelda game that I ever played, and the very first video game that I ever played with my dad. It has a lot of fond memories for me. It's definitely a game I hold near and dear to my heart. It is breathtaking, especially for the time period, and it still does hold up today. And I'm hoping one day we will get a remaster of this game or a remake, because if it's anything like Zelda Link's Awakening that they remade for the Switch, you can take my money now, because I would buy it day one. From the music, the exploration, the enemies, the items, it is just truly an amazing game, and I highly recommend anybody who's looking for a really awesome action-adventure game to check this one out, for sure. The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past is one of my favorite video games of all time. Not just Zelda games, but video games in general. This game is absolutely amazing. Even all these years later, it still stands the test of time. It still looks fantastic. If you can't get your hands on an original copy, you can play it on the Super Nintendo Virtual Console on the Switch. So definitely give this a look. It is a freaking masterpiece. And Coming in at number 2, we have The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, even though it is considered a cult classic, it is my second favorite Zelda game of all time. I absolutely loved this game. I think people should revisit it. I know it was kind of difficult to play when we were kids, especially with the time mechanic. It was a pain, but please give it another shot. If you want to play it on the 3DS, there's a 3DS version that's absolutely amazing. And you can also play this on the Nintendo Switch, if I'm not mistaken. Check it out. It's definitely a Zelda game that is worth playing at least once. The story is so deep and rich and dark and just different. And before we do number 1, let's rattle off some honorable mentions. Some Zelda games that I think are fun and enjoyable that you should at least give a try, but didn't quite make the top 10. So we've got Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time 3D for the Nintendo 3DS, or you can play them on the 2DS if you don't like the 3D effect. It kind of sucks. So I played them in 2D. But these games are freaking awesome. They changed the graphics, they changed some of the mechanics and the gameplay. Definitely worth checking these out. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch is a remaster of the original games that were on handheld back in the day. This game is super fun. It is so great. If you like 2D, top-down, like Zelda games like Link to the Past, it's definitely worth picking up and checking out. I hope they do something like this with Link to the Past, because that would be freaking amazing. If you like Dynasty Warrior type games, those hack and slash, like massive amount of enemies and all that kind of stuff, definitely check out Hyrule Warriors for the Wii U. They also have a remaster on the Switch, or Age of Calamity for the Nintendo Switch. These games are freaking awesome, and they actually add to the story. It's definitely worth checking out, for real. Great games. And this is kind of a random one, but Link's Crossbow Training. If you still have a Wii and you like arcade games, it's fun. Give it a shot. Look, it's not going to change the world or anything, but it's definitely worth checking out because I've had a lot of fun with it. And coming in at number 1, we have The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. This game absolutely blew me away when it came out. I was at Target at 8 in the morning when they opened to get my Switch, Breath of the Wild, and all of the amiibos day one, and I can't tell you how many countless hours I put into this game. It was like nothing I had ever played before in the Zelda franchise, from the mass exploration in this open world that I know Shigeru Miyamoto really is what he envisioned with the original game back in the 80s. The different weapons and armors and abilities and creatures and all the shrines and dungeons. It was absolutely a masterpiece. The game is absolutely beautiful. It runs beautifully. It plays so smooth. Now, there are people that have complaints that it is a great adventure game, just not a great Zelda game. And I will beg to differ. This game is absolutely mind-blowing. I love the combat. I love the weapons system. I love that you can craft armor. I love the cooking system. It is absolutely mind-blowing, and I cannot wait for the next installment in this series. Here's just some gameplay footage for those of you who haven't played it. It is on the Wii U, and it is on the Nintendo Switch. Definitely give this one a look if you've never played it before. It's absolutely amazing. Not to mention all of the amazing Easter eggs that are in this game, like you see here, the Temple of Time from the other Zelda games. Not to mention you have a ton of DLC that you can play and download. It is chef's kiss, you guys. Absolutely love this game. Not only is it one of my favorite games in the Zelda franchise, it's one of my favorite video games of all time. Definitely in my top 5. Yeah, we all knew it was coming. Number 1 for me, it was of course Breath of the Wild. A lot of people will complain about this game, you know, and say, oh, it's a good adventure game, but it's not a great Zelda game. I beg to differ. One of my favorite games of all time. Not just Zelda games. Video games in general. I absolutely love this game. It brought me hours and hours and hours of enjoyment. Just the open world was amazing for me personally. And the fact that it was like Assassin's Creed meets Skyrim meets Zelda, it was right up my alley, and I cannot wait for Tears of the Kingdom in just a few months. Well, everybody, that's going to wrap up the video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you would like to consider subscribing, I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers here so that we can get monetized on the channel and hit YouTube partner. It is so appreciated. You can also check out all my other socials, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok as well. I appreciate all of you very, very much. Leave down in the comments, how did I do? It's my first countdown video I've ever done. We're going to do more of these. This was a lot of fun for me. Zelda is one of my favorite franchises ever. I want to know what your top 10 is. Leave it in the comments. Happy New Year, everybody, and we'll see you real soon.